Welcome back to House. We've got a real curly one for you today.
What would Ben tell his 18-year-old self, framing it in regards to finance?
Great question. I've thought about it a lot over the years because I've made mistakes with money. And that started when I was 18 and a half, funnily enough.
Tell us a story.
So 18 and a half, I came into a substantial amount of money. I was working in an industry. I was a bit different to you, Elliot. So I left school quite young because I just hated school with a passion. It just wasn't for me as a youngster. And so at basically 15 and a half, I left school.
Yep.
I did uni later. Yep. Okay. Not early, like a lot of people do.
Yes.
And so, I worked, so once I left school, I worked for the next 3 years and I made a fair bit of money. And so when I was 18 and a half, I came back to Melbourne.
Yes.
Okay. And I had this large paycheck come through to my bank.
Happy days.
Okay. And I thought, this is fantastic. I wanted to buy a property. So one of my brothers was looking at a property, and at the time, this property, they wanted $25,000 for it. Okay. And we're talking in the 80s. Okay. So it was $25,000 and it was acreage in a location I thought would do extremely well. So already when I was 18, I was already thinking this is where I want to go with my life, because I came from nothing. I came from a family that didn't have money. Okay. And so when you don't have money, well, the thing that you want when you grow up is money, because you don't want to live like that. So, and that's how I looked at it. So I thought, so my brother was looking at this property. It was $25,000. I already had 50% deposit sitting there in my bank. Okay. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have someone steering me in the right direction. My parents weren't very helpful at all because they didn't know what to do. They didn't understand money,
Yes.
finance. And so
You didn't have a YouTube channel.
there was nothing, we didn't have internet.
Good point. A good point.
And so what actually happened is I blew all the money in 6 months.
You hear this story every day. Yep.
And not only did I blow that money, it was worse because I actually ended up owing money.
Is that because you became accustomed to that lifestyle, and before you knew it, it ran out?
Very much so. And then what happened is in the 80s, you could actually buy products and then pay it off later, which is exactly what they're doing now, which is the flavour of the month. And so I found myself in a couple of $1,000 debt. And this is in the 80s. And then I had a wake-up call. That's when I thought, I can't live like this. I'm 19 years old. I'm in debt. And I went, done. I'm changing.
Well, that's amazing. As most people don't have that confidence and that being self-aware to make that decision.
Yeah, but it worried me all the time. And in those days, Ellie, of course, we didn't have mobile phones. And so whenever I went home, I was terrified to pick up the phone because I knew who it would be. It was the bank. Ben, you owe this or a store. Ben, you haven't made the payment. And I was terrified of picking up a phone.
Yes.
And I just thought to myself, I will never be in this position again.
Good on you. Yep.
So if I was back to 18, what I should have done, my uncle, he was a very astute businessman, I should have phoned my uncle up, made a time and visited him and asked him for advice. And funnily enough, from 20 years old, so it only took me a year to work it out, he was actually my mentor. And he's still, up to this day, still my mentor, someone who I speak to. And I used to speak to him an awful lot. And he would say, no, Ben, yeah, that's great, but no, you need to go in this direction. And he was very, very successful.
Yep.
Okay, multi-millionaire. That was amazing for me, having that person.
Yep. Excellent. So summary, You're saying,
Well, by myself, I was totally hopeless because I had no idea about money. But finding a mentor at a young age, I think will make a world of difference. Oh, it would have changed. If I would have spoken to my uncle as soon as that money hit my bank account and said, Uncle Mike, I've got this money. I don't know what to do. He would have gone, right, let's go. Let's come down and let's discuss. And that's what I should. And today, I would be in an even better position than what I was from acquiring that first investment, because he bought property always.
yep,
Whenever he could, he acquired property, and he bought the property in the most amazing locations now, because everyone's got a story.
absolutely.